A very good evening to you. Thanks for choosing Newzroom Afrika. Let's start off your sport with a big match this evening. Mamelodi Sundowns could secure their 7th league title in a row and a record-extending 17th overall this evening when they clash with Kaizer Chiefs at the FNB Stadium. Sundowns have been in imperious form this season, and they're the only team in the DStv Premiership yet to lose a game after 23 matches. They currently sit on 59 points, and a win tonight would give them an unassailable 62 points, clinching the championship with 6 games to spare. Rulani Mokwena's side has also had no match in the goal-scoring charts, having netted 42 times and conceding on just 8 occasions all season long, making them the stingiest defence in the league. They face a Kaizer Chiefs side who had a season to forget and now gone a full 9 years without a trophy. They're left to fight only for a top 8 position. Kickoff at the FNB Stadium is 7:30 this evening. Well, to chat more about a potential 7th straight league title win for Sundowns, we're joined by football writer Njabulo Ngidi, live from the FNB Stadium. A very good evening to you, Njabulo. Thanks for chatting to us here on Newzroom Afrika. It seems quite unbelievable that it'll be 6 games to spare if they are able to do it this evening. But one doesn't think that Kaizer Chiefs will be the team to stand in their way, or are they?
Good evening, Velen. I mean, I think it's one of the things that makes this such an interesting encounter, because there's such a storied rivalry between these two teams that dates back to the 90s when they used to fight for honors, whether it's the league or clubs. So now when they find themselves in a situation where one is fighting for the championship and the other is barely alive, trying to sneak into the top 8, I mean, that makes it very lopsided. But Chiefs have a habit of getting one over Sundowns. Even at their worst, I think there have been games where they've snuck a surprise. I think even under Kompela, they were really struggling, and at their lowest, but were able to complete a double. So if there's a team that could stop this runaway train, funny enough, I think it's Kaizer Chiefs, because of just what this game means to them. When you look at the season that they've had, there's very little to play for. This is one of those games that could get the crowd excited, help them push for the final stretch. So I don't think it's a straightforward, and even the game, I don't see it as lopsided as it looks in terms of when you look at the stats. Because earlier in the week, when we were speaking with Kaizer Chiefs players, given him Semango said actually the last few games they're playing in honor of Luke Fleos to try and sort of honor his name. Doesn't really matter the scoreline, but as long as they put in a good performance to ensure that they really put a light on one of their own who died under sort of sad circumstances. So I think that and everything else in terms of Chiefs are in, I think it makes them a very dangerous opponent for Sundowns, because I think also the fact that they've got nothing to lose makes this a very hard game for Sundowns.
And Kaizer Chiefs are one of those teams where even if they're written off before a major Soweto derby, things on the day are completely different, because it's a team that lives for the big occasion. And I can hear where you are. You can hear those fans. You can hear the music. And this is just the kind of clash that Kevin Johnson would want to see his team actually turn things around.
I mean, they need this more than anything. I think they need a good performance, a good result, because like their position in the top 8 is not really secure. And if they were to fail to finish in the top 8, it would really be a disastrous season, especially for their high standards. And that's why I think the drive, that's what is going to make this an interesting game. That it's not just for show. I mean, yes, Sundowns are probably fighting to wrap up the championship, but the pride that Chiefs is fighting for is what is going to make this a strong and an entertaining contest. And I think they could cause an upset. I mean, it might not necessarily be a win, but they have what it takes to sort of delay Sundown celebrations, because the pride is still there in terms of what is at stake. And for the players, this is the closest to a cup game they will face this season, because they've struggled in every knockout competition. And if they were to be the team that says, we've broken the Sundowns invincibility, that would be massive for their supporters, because there's also massive bragging rights that are up for stakes because of, like I mentioned earlier, the history between these two teams.
And the fact that if Kaizer Chiefs were able to stop Mamelodi Sundowns from actually going invincible for the season, had it not been for COVID and the bubbles that had to be created in order for us just to complete the 2019-2020 season, we probably would be speaking about the kind of run that Mamelodi Sundowns had during that season a lot more, because it was actually in that season where they only lost a single game. But we're now sitting with 7 games to go, and no team has been able to beat Rulani Mokwena and his men.
For me, I mean, I think this is one of the best Sundowns team that we've seen in the PSL era. For a number of reasons. I think when you look at the season that they've had and what they've enjoyed, I mean, the AFL, playing in the Champions League, going to the semifinals, having to play a game almost every third day, it's been ridiculous. I don't think any other team would have been able to be competitive. Forget even being number one and being unbeaten. I don't think any team would have been this competitive. I mean, you hear teams complain about playing 3 games in a week, all in South Africa. And this team has been to all over the continent. I mean, this last 2 months, they went to Tanzania, they went to Tunisia, they were in the Champions League against teams from DRC, Egypt. So it's really remarkable that with everything that has been thrown at them, they've managed to rise to the occasion. And I think for me, that's why I say, I think this is one of the best teams we've seen in the PSL era. Obviously, I think with time, it becomes hard to sort of appreciate things in the moment. But when we look back, we're going to look back at and say that this was a very, very good team that we got to witness, and we're lucky to witness this because like the things that they've enjoyed and managed to bounce back and continue. I mean, the performance against the Kukune, how they bounce back even against TS Galaxy, it's ridiculous. And you touched on in terms of how tough they are at the back. A lot of the focus is on how they go forward, but the back, the number of clean sheets that Rodon Williams has kept, and how he's just been brilliant. The defense, even the changes that have been made, even sometimes playing like Lebusa, had to make so many adjustments, but the performance has been the same, the approach has been the same, which is why for me, I think they've been the benchmark, and I don't think we're going to see a team as good as this one anytime soon. I think any team that is likely to be better than this is Sundowns itself, because at the moment, domestically, they're only competing with themselves.
Yeah, only 8 goals scored against Mamelodi Sundowns this season. And only to think that last season it was Ronald Williams that set a brand new club record of 18 clean sheets. Do you think that if they don't go invincible this season, they'd be able to do it next season? You just mentioned that this is the best Sundowns team that we've had and perhaps the best era. Do you believe that they'd be able to go unbeaten if they don't get it this season, next season?
I think they will, because imagine what the Sundowns would look like if they had a bit of a rest. If they can play like this in a hectic season, I mean, when the season finishes, they're going to have close to 60 games. I mean, that's more than double the league. And you've seen some teams where they've complained about injuries and cramping, and they just had a domestic competition to focus on. They've played 2 continental titles, been all over the continent. The core of their squad was also at the AFCON with Bafana, where they played the maximum number of games you can play by reaching the finishing with the bronze medal. So this is and the number of players who are still developing and getting better. I mean, Shalulile struggled at some point. Njabulo Ngidi has been inspirational and is someone who can get better. Ribeiro has just arrived at the team. Marcelo is still finding his feet. I think it's scary what this team can achieve. I think it's definitely the team to bet on to go invincible. And I think even this year, they're strong and they have what it takes. I think if they can manage this game mentally, then I don't think there's any team that can stop them, because I think the bogey element of Chiefs just is what makes them dangerous, in that you're playing against a team that has nothing to lose. When you're playing against teams either fighting to avoid relegation or for the championship place, it makes it easier because you can sort of raise your competition and compete. But when you've got a team that's got nothing to lose and has upset you in the past, it becomes even tougher. And that's why I think they could be a potential banana peel, but Sundowns, in terms of the quality and the strength, they are definitely the team that if they don't do it this season, they will go a season unbeaten.
Njabulo, you were just there. Your prediction, your score prediction for tonight.
I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw.
A 2-2 draw. All right, and Mamelodi Sundowns remain unbeaten. But what that will also mean is that they don't win the league title because they need a full complement of 3 points against the Amakhosi in order to win the DStv Premiership title for this season. And Njabulo Ngidi, good to chat to you. Thanks so much for your time here on Newzroom Afrika.